Alright, so story time, but quickly I decided to do silhouettes actually instead of stick figures, and I think that turned out well. If you guys want to give me advice on what is it, like anatomy, then I would greatly appreciate that because I feel like that and backgrounds are my biggest weaknesses. But if I can master that, then I'll be good for when I get to college, which I've applied to college. I hope I get into college. Anyway, anyways, uh, the story of Caroline Pepper. Now, Caroline, was born 1925 to Belle Pepper and Tom Hop. I think you can kind of see what I did with the last names. Um, and everybody calls Tom, Hop, and the reason, the reasoning behind that is because, they realize, hey, his wife is named Belle. So if we're calling both of them, but we don't use the word "and" in the middle of it, it's just like bellhop. Everybody found that hilarious. So I feel, I feel like Caroline's grandmother would have actually started that, and everybody just caught on, and just Hop loved it. Like Hop loves being called by his last name because it's much funnier than Tom. Um, Anyways, so Caroline is born 1925 to Belle Pepper and Tom Hop. She's also born on a mafia, and she's actually the granddaughter of the mafia boss and mafia husband. I'm not saying mafia wife because the girl is the mafia boss, which I girl powered. Anyway, sorry that was dumb. Anyways, um, so, she's born to the Black Locusts. That's the mafia's name. And everything's going smoothly. I mean, everybody's treating her like a princess because she is one. Um, well, she's not really a princess. You know what I mean. Um, and everybody's treating her nicely. She's having a good life. Like she's a very, very, very happy child, a very happy and healthy child. And Belle and Hop couldn't ask for more. Like they are extremely happy with how their daughter's turning out. Um, but then 1926, she is 1.5 years old. It's December, and you know everything's going fine until a week before Christmas, and everything got tense. Her uncle was gone now, and she just couldn't understand why until I'm gonna say her grandfather had sat her down and talked about a deal they made with a god. Now this is a god from a pantheon I had decided to make, and this god is named Bates. She's the god of fear and nightmares, and they went to her so she could give them like powers and such in order to defeat the detectives, which they hate, the Bloomin' of Time Agency, which is the name of the story. The name of the story is Bloomin' of Time. Um, and so, he explains that the god decided to also put a curse to this power, and that the detectives would be hunting the black locusts down, and they're attached to a certain black locust, which they have to kill to break that little curse. Though the detectives don't even know about this, they just have the instinct to kill the black locust. And he also explains that in order for the black locusts to break this curse without dying, they have to kill the detective. So it's like a standoff or of such. Um, and so, one sec. So the dogs had started to freak out, so I had to go deal with them. Anyways, so it was kind of like a standoff. And he explained that Kevin lost his standoff, and that the detective he was connected to, Nova, had killed him. And Caroline had actually grown fond of Nova, so like she was freaked out. It was like, what? Why would Nova do that? Blah, 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 blah. But also she got terrified because he described how she would know who she was attached to, and she realized one of the Black Locusts is who she's attached to, who her standoff is with. And, Nick was kind of surprised. Did I say that Nick is the grandfather? Anyways, Nick is surprised because, she's 1.5. She shouldn't have a target on her back. But also, she was never in the cult room when they got the curse put on them. So they were shocked to learn that Bates put the curse on a child. And, Caroline got extremely anxious whenever near that person. Though Max, who she was attached to, would never and will never hurt Caroline. It felt too heartless. Like, he's watching Caroline grow. He would never do that. He loses the standoff, I will note. So, time passes, and it's 1926, and Caroline's mother sadly dies. She loses the standoff. And, this sets a whole new panic to the Black Locusts. Is like, oh my gosh, we're losing the standoffs. And, they get more protective and stuff, and Caroline's getting more anxious. It's like, what if I'm next? But, she's only 2 years old, and it's not really, like, fully hidden her. But she's still a bit worried about, like, what if I'm next? And then she's, like, 2.5 now, and it's late 1926. Her father goes missing. And it's not revealed, but he gets killed. It would be revealed in the show, but not to the Black Locusts. They never know about Hop's death. They just know he went missing. And so this really spikes anxiety into Caroline. I'm pretty sure, like, she's basically, no, not really basically free, but, like, 2.5, I'm pretty sure she can develop anxiety if, conditions are that severe. And, she's starting to develop anxiety because of all of this. I mean, who wouldn't? And, it's going fine till July of 1928. Her grandmother and grandfather both die. They both lose their standoffs, not even a week, apart. And Caroline is, like, full on distressed now. She's 3 years old, and she just lost all of her family. And now, and also, her great-grandmother died of a heartbreak because, her only daughter and her 2 granddaughters died. Of course, she's gonna die of heartbreak. And so Tim Oak is who is raising Caroline now. And, it's going fine. Tim was one of Kevin's best friends, and, he could protect Caroline. Also, Max is now May, and now is living with the detectives. So this is setting a whole new anxiety for every Black Locust. But yeah, Tim's raising Caroline. He's doing an amazing job. She's kind of getting better. They moved to Canada, and they moved to a town called Thornfield. And he finds this woman, Maeve Dawson. And he falls in love with her, and she reminds him a lot of Kevin, because Kevin and him started to date the same night. Well, not night, but, the night before that night before Kevin died. They started to date, and, Maeve reminds Tim of Kevin, so, he gets with Maeve. And they make a Black Locust base in Thornfield, Canada, but where is my phone? I need the timeline now. I actually wrote down the timeline and stuff going off, without a script. Okay. At the timeline right here. So, oh my god, stop it. Stop, Moan. My cat is cuddling my tablet. Okay, so, Moan! She's being a brat. Okay, so she's Caroline is 13 when Tim eventually. So my cat knocked my tablet out of my hands, but Tim dies when Caroline is 13, and this takes a whole hit to everybody on the Thornfield Village, because this is a little village for the Canadian black locusts. Anyways, my throat's dry. um, now, I will note Caroline was never adopted by Tim and Maeve. She was only being taken care of by them. Like, they were technically legal guardians, but not parents, you know? I'm pretty sure, like, that's possible. Anyways, and so now Maeve is the sole guardian of, Caroline. But she hates Caroline. She hates Caroline's sass. She hates everything about her. And so she's not exactly treating Caroline the best. And Caroline started getting kind of confident. Well, she's very paranoid by now. Like, extremely paranoid. It does not get better for her, sadly. Um, but she tells Maeve that she's going to be moving to rural England when she's 18. And Maeve's like, "Ha, no you're not." And then Caroline calls Maeve a cold-hearted bitch, and so Maeve punishes Caroline. She traps Caroline in the room, which I'm drawing here. And that's where Caroline stays for 4 years. She's rarely fed and is only released when Maeve is uh Maeve is on like a business trip, and Harold opens the door and lets Caroline out. And Caroline, of course, goes to rule England. That's the farthest she's gonna get. And now she's 18, so she can't be called back, can she? Unless they call for insanity. But she's gonna go to the other Black Locusts, right? They don't let her back. They say that it's too much of a risk, and Maeve could raise hell on them if they let her back into the Black Locusts. So she's panicked. She's living on the streets of England till Edward Dawson finds her. Edward lets her live with him, and he kind of helps take care of her, gets her on her feet and stuff. But he kind of realizes she's not the best to be living on her own. So he's trying his best to get her to not move out of his house. But the thing is that Edward is the leader of the detectives. Edward is who killed Caroline's grandmother. And she also discovers Gladius killed her mother, Margaret killed her grandfather, and Egfa killed her father. Also, Nova killed the uncle. And so, she had silent rage. And 1946, a week before Nova was actually due to have his second kid, she kills Agatha. And this brings like a spark of joy to her. She pretends to be upset, but she is excited. I mean, she just got revenge for her father, for Pete's sake. And she actually quite likes the feeling of this. And so in the 1950s, she convinces Margaret's daughter Olive to kill Margaret. And so they wax the stairs, and boom, Margaret's dead. Last thing Margaret saw was Caroline congratulating Olive, saying that she did a good job and such. And they get away with both murders. And there's a lot of tension. Olive ends up trying to leave, but Olive ends up being the next victim. And so Caroline's on her own with this. Like, nobody knows Caroline is behind this either. Because, why would you assume that the girl that, kind of insane that would do this? She also has a kid now. Her kid is named Faye. She had it with this one guy. I don't know what the first name will be, but his last name is Yearwood. So Caroline switches to Caroline Yearwood. Though she still quite likes the Pepper last name. I just call her Caroline Pepper anyways. So whew, she actually gets with a man. She has a kid. So technically, she's good. She's living with him now. She's no longer living with Edward. But that's also a bad thing because 1980s, she ends up killing Edward and Gladius in one fell swoop. So now all that's left is Nova. And she thinks this is gonna be an easy task, but it's not. He keeps slipping away from her, and it's annoying her. But 2010 comes around, and she manages it. She actually gets him. Um, and it was on his 101st birthday, and she was quite glad. But now her husband's gone. Her kid's not talking to her. Her kid is on that moth, like on the Thornfield Village. Like she's now living there. So Caroline has nobody. She's living alone in an apartment. She's not well. But this one old woman, who's actually a bit younger than her, ends up finding out that she's living alone in this apartment and is not doing well. So she's like, "Honey, just come live with me. I can take care of you." And Caroline didn't really want to at first, but she eventually was like, "Okay, sure, yeah, I'll live with you." And so the one woman found joy in taking care of Caroline, and like making sure she was okay and such. Um, but then the woman died. Nobody came to check in on her until Nova's eldest daughter, Lilith, comes to the apartment and finds that Caroline had starved herself to death. She was too anxious to go out. She was worried that all would go badly, and she ended up starving herself to death because of this. There was no more food in the house. Nobody wanted to check on the crazy old lady. Um, and now she was gone. And Lilith was put into a rage because nobody in the apartment wanted to check on her, really. But Lily couldn't do anything about it. She didn't even know that Caroline was the cause of her parents' death. Now, I did mention that, May, was, connected to Caroline. Caroline did kill May. Poison May, like 1970s, I think. So they won the standoff, I guess. Caroline was the only black locust to kill a detective of theirs. Um, but I guess it didn't end well because she was not mentally well. Nobody really helped her. I feel like it would have ended better if she actually had the help she needed, but it didn't really end well. Um, I actually really have a soft spot for Vizosi. I love her. And her daughter Faye, she actually starts working alongside the mafia boss, who Harold's son Blaze, and Blaze is a funky fellow. And I think I mentioned Maeve and Edward. Maeve's last name's Dawson. Edward's last name's Dawson. Yeah, Maeve is Edward's cousin, who he despises. So it's funny because Caroline's daughter is now working for Edward's great nephew. uh, and even worse, Faye has twin girls, Chloe and Abigail. I'm so happy when I said Chloe's name. My dog Chloe didn't pipe up. I made the OC before the dog came into the picture. My mom named the dog. It's difficult. Anyways, so like they twin girls, Chloe and Abigail. Chloe ends up dating Mika Garcia, but the thing is, Mika's great uncle is Gladius Hester, and the thing is, Gladius Hester is Bell Pepper's ex-husband. It all just comes into a full loop, and luckily, Chloe isn't like her great grandmother, and she doesn't go with Mika at 16 years old. has a good night with her, and then steals everything from the house. Like Belle was, oh goodness, Belle was a little brat when she was a teenager. Goodness gracious. But yeah, that was the story of Caroline Pepper. If you guys have any constructive criticism about, the art in the background, or maybe the story, how I can make it better, I would greatly appreciate it in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!